I'm Megan, and thanks, friends, for joining me. This is a class for your beautiful, fluid, strong spine. And we're going to learn to use our respiration, our breath, for fluidity in the spine. So I'm going to ask you to please get a strap. If you don't have a strap, you can use a belt or a robe belt, something like that. And then also 2 blocks. And I'm going to come to a seated position that I'm most comfortable. I want you to do the same. For me, that is sitting on a block with my shins on the ground, but you could also cross your legs. You could take your legs out in front of you. What we want to do is let the legs and the lower body find a good, solid space where it's not fighting the ground, feeling uncomfortable, so we can focus on our breath. Then I'm going to take that strap and we're going to put it around. We're going to accessorize ourselves a little bit here today. Put it in the lower ribs, but not, you can kind of feel the soft floating ribs. You want to be above those. So if you happen to wear bras of the female persuasion or male, put it up high enough that it's at the bottom of your bra strap there. And then you're going to tighten it so you can feel it. Not so tight that you can't move, but tight enough that you can feel it. And just take a moment to notice where the strap is and begin to breathe in and out your nose if that's comfortable. If not, you can breathe in your nose and out your mouth. And notice where your breath is landing. Do you feel the strap moving? You can place your hands on your belly. Is your belly moving? What moves with your breath? And we'll use the strap to create more movement in and around the spine, because remember, our ribs attach to the spine. And when we breathe, some of the muscles of respiration include the muscles between the ribs, around the ribs. So by moving the ribs, we're creating that fluidity in the spine. So it starts with visualizing your whole front body. So you might notice where the strap is across the front. So if you divide your body from front and back, but you could also place one hand on your belly and one up on your upper chest. So you're recognizing front all the way from the pubic bone or the navel center up and through the chest and under the collarbones, because your lungs come all the way under your collarbones. And start to breathe in a way that you feel like you're pushing into or meeting the resistance of the strap in the front body. So breathing into your front. And you might fill from bottom to top, so your belly handle move. Then feel the pressure of your ribs into the strap in the front. And even sense there will be less movement, but a little bit of movement in the chest and under the collarbones. Let it all go, and when you empty out, see if it's more comfortable for you to empty from bottom to top or top to bottom. Doesn't matter. But the focus is on breathing to the front body. So I like to think of the breath as containers for postures, in addition to the breath being a vehicle into the posture. So notice how on the breath in, as you're breathing to the front, there's a sense of expansion. And as you do that, just slightly think of tilting your pelvis forward, bringing your heart up, like if you had a light on your heart, maybe taking your head back, just slightly. So we're creating a gentle back bend. And as you breathe out, release. And the movement comes from the torso, because we're moving from the spine. And even though the neck is part of the spine, it's not head going back, it's heart coming forward, belly coming forward. Breathe out and release. So let the ease of the breath in float your chest forward and upward, creating space all the way from the base of the spine through the collarbones. Releasing on the exhalation. Just take a few more. So feel the way you can gently approach what we call back bend or extension of the spine. And then pause for a moment. Take your hands down and notice again how it feels to breathe. Is there more awareness now in the front of the body? How does it feel now? Where is your breath landing? Where is it originating? So here's the tricky part, because we have a whole side that we never get to see, our back side. But you have a strap there. You could even place a hand on your low back around your kidney area if you want. But feel your shoulder blades and your upper back. Picture your shoulder blades and your rib cage. Rib cage is a great landing space. And now see if you can direct your breath like you're trying to burst the strap in the back body. Can you change that? Focus on breathing to the backs of the lungs. Fill the backs of the lungs. As you breathe in and breathe out, just release. So it might help to close your eyes and visualize your backside. Feel the ribs spreading apart in the back as you breathe in and sliding back together. Those beautiful intercostal muscles, they do this little dance. You can picture it in your mind's eye as you breathe in. The external intercostals pull the ribs apart slightly. And as you breathe out, the internal intercostals, easy for me to say, draw the ribs back towards one another. And then start to follow the pattern of your breath in the back body. So as you breathe in, notice how the shoulders might slightly come forward and the pelvis tilts back. So we would say in yoga, we're doing a forward fold or flexion of the spine. So breathe in, feel the spine rounding. If you know your cats and your cows, if you have animals at home that do their down dogs and up dogs, this is our cat position. And as you're breathing to the back, we're compressing the front. Just the opposite of breathing to the front. But let the breath do the work for you. Make it easy. The beautiful thing about finding these is you can do this in all of your yoga poses, all of your practices. Take one more into the back body. Notice the natural movement. And then pause again. Just let your ears fall over your shoulders and your shoulders over your hips and feel. What sensations are you getting now? Just in your respiration. Where do you feel your breath land? Where does it start? Where does it end? Where do you feel that pressure into the strap or your skin stretching? Know that when we're moving the lungs, we're encouraging the spine to follow the lungs. So with that thought in mind, I want you to feel the left side of your body or where the strap is. So go ahead and touch it on the left side of the body. If you don't have a strap, you can also be doing this with just your hand. I often do it with just my hand before I start my practice to remind myself that I have the ability to do what I call independent suspension of the lungs, breathing to one lung at a time, more or less. So feeling the strap in the left side, imagine your beautiful left lung and see if you can send your breath into the left lung. Like you're trying to burst the strap on just the left side. Notice if you can get the ribs to spread apart in the left side of the body. I also like to think on the side, the ability to breathe into the heart in the left. You might move from your spleen. And then follow the natural course of the breath. Notice how as you're breathing into the left side, there's an expansion, there's a lengthening. And you might just slightly lift the shoulder away from the hip or press the hip down. And exhale, release. So we're now creating what we call a side bend or a lateral bend. But you're letting that juicy breath do the work. Breathing into that beautiful left lung. When we breathe like this, there's lots of connective tissue between the lung and the sac that the heart's in. So you're giving your heart a little massage. Take one or two more into the left lung. Notice how you can create space in the left side just through your breath and following the course of the breath. Come back to the center and pause and just feel. How do you feel now Maybe just around the strap or the wholeness of your torso. Where do you feel your breath landing? Where does it initiate? Can you sense any difference between the left and the right? Does one lung feel more available, more awake? And of course, we want to now honor our right lung. So feel where the strap is on the right side. You might even touch that area. Get familiar with where your ribs are. And then as you breathe in, try to burst the strap with the right lung. Think of the ribs pressing into the strap. Breathe out. So focus all your awareness in your right lung. This is the bigger lung. Generally has one more lobe because there's no heart there. Sometimes one lung is more available to us than the other. Notice the ease with which you're starting to feel that side bend. Bending to the left, so there'll be compression in the left side and space on the right side. And I don't even need to use my arm to create that side bend. It's all happening from respiration. But follow the natural path. And you might just tilt to your left a little bit or make a little more space between your armpit and your hip. Initiate the movement by breathing into your beautiful right lung. Say hello to your liver. Some kind thoughts to your liver. Take a few more into that right side. You might notice if one side is more available to you. And pausing at center. So what we just did, you could stop there and bring all of that breathing into many of your classes, but I'm going to do some specific movements with you now to show you how I bring that into my practices. So we're going to start with the back bend, and we're gonna rejuvenate and wake ourselves up. So first, please feel free to take your strap off. You can breathe through the wholeness of your body. And then we're going to come down onto the belly. You can shake out your legs. Maybe take your arms into like a cactus position, elbows slightly bent. You can rest on your chin or your forehead. Let the hips shake from side to side in the legs and let the front body feel the ground. So we can use the ground for feedback. Just like we use the strap for feedback, we're going to start with the front body because you can feel your front body on the ground. See if you can direct your awareness and your breath once again into the front of the body. Feeling from bottom to top and emptying however you want. Then think of your whole spine, not just your neck, not just your low back. As you're breathing in, there's a natural sense of the body, the spine lengthening, so the crown of the head coming forward. And then there's also a lifting up. There's the back bend again. As you breathe out, you could turn and rest onto one cheek. Let everything relax. But I'm not needing to use my arms even to push up. It's all about moving from the spine. You create space in the front body to float up. And you'll feel your back body compress. You might feel the muscles in the back body. And as you breathe out, release the muscles in the back body. Might even feel glutes and hamstrings coming on. If you want to feel more of the glutes and hamstrings, as you start that breath in, reach your big toes towards the back of the mat. Push the tops of the feet into the ground. If for any reason your feet are cramping, you can also do this with toes rolled under and press through your heels. And play with finding your end range of motion now in this back bend, but without pushing into your arms. Use the strength of your back body to lift up. And the fuel for that is your breath. Release down, let go. I like to think of floating up. The fuel is a floaty fuel, surfacing and then sinking. So that levitation on the inhale, gravity and ease on the exhale. So now if you want a little bit more spice to this, as you breathe in, you can lift your arms up off the ground. That's going to require more back muscles. If that's too much, you could try it with your hands behind you. So play with where your arms are. Exhale, coming down, but still making it a breath-centered movement. If you really want to spice things up, you could try it with your arms in front of you. So the further the arms are from the body, the more work. And I like to really try to spread out, so I'd say spread the love throughout my spine. So it's not my low back doing all the work. Press the front of the pelvis into the ground and think of lifting the front of the heart and the collarbones. Bring the breath all the way up. And as you're floating up, if you find a spot where you just want to hold, you can hold your arms up for more strength building. You could also take your arms down to the ground here. This is a nice place to land. And just keep breathing into the front body. Because you can. The back body is not very accessible right now. Feel that nice stretch through your belly, the fronts of the ribs. Remember what it felt like to have that strap across the front, like you're still bursting the strap, but bringing it all the way up under the collarbones. So when we're in a back bend, what we're actually doing is making space in the front of the spine, in the discs. And the front of the spine is the steadiness. What we say is the stira in yoga. That's our support. Last round of breath there. And exhale, come down, release. So we're going to work now on that side body or lateral bend. So I'm going to ask you to roll onto your right side. And you can use your arm as a pillow. If you'd like to put something underneath your head, you're welcome to do that. And just let your legs stack wherever they want to be. Notice your right ribs on the ground. See if you can breathe into the ground. So think back to the idea of breathing into your right lung. Push your right ribs into the ground and release. So I always start there because you can feel the floor, breathing into your right lung. But what might help you is as you're breathing into your right lung, squeeze the left side because the right side's expanding, which means the left side should be compressing, contracting. So breathe into your right lung and then squeeze the left hip and shoulder towards one another. And exhale, let go. Breathe into the right lung. Squeeze the left side. Exhale, let go. Let's do one more breathing into the right side. And let go. So in this position, we can also work with the left lung. So maybe taking your hand to your left ribs. Your right side is landing, and you can feel the support of your right side. Switch it over so you're breathing into your left lung. Breathe into your hand. So your lung is like a balloon lifting you up. And what you might start to feel is the way that the left side lengthens and the right side is going to lift away from the ground as it shortens. And you can help the left side lengthen by breathing into the left lung and lifting the right side. So we're really focusing on moving from the spine, especially the center of the spine, the thoracic spine. But if this feels good and you want a little more lengthening, then as you breathe in, you could reach your left arm overhead. You might even reach for your left leg, so creating more space between the hip and the shoulder. But lifting your right waist, squeeze your right waist, exhale. Just release. Or inhale, stretch the left side. And as you exhale, like you're squeezing the breath out of the left lung like a sponge, squeeze the left hip and armpit towards one another.
Inhale. Reach and lengthen the left side. Exhale. Squeeze. So it's just this little lateral bend. But your lung floats you up and relaxes you or squeeze it out. Last one. And instead of landing on your side, I'm going to ask you to roll onto your backside so we can feel again. Call it the magic moment, the space between the two sides. Just shake out your body and notice left and right sides. Do they feel different at all? Are you breathing equally to the front, the back, the left lung, the right lung? Nice little mini Shavasana. Now we're going to explore, before we do the right side, we're going to explore another back bend. So this time we'll be coming onto the shins. So if you want to double your mat or put something underneath your knees, your shins, you're welcome to do that. Also roll your toes under. We'll be on our knees. So coming up, just place your hands first at your low back. And remember how we're breathing from all the way, I like to think all the way down from the pubic bone and up through the front, underneath the collarbones. And start that front breath again. So now we don't have the floor for feedback, but there's still just this natural floating upward, lengthening the spine and forward. And you can support your low back with your hands. I like to think of taking the tailbone slightly down so the low back stays a little longer, moving more from the center of the spine. And it's different. I'm not pushing my ribs forward. It's a slow spread forward and upward. Equal. Even it out throughout your whole spine. You can hug your thighs together for a little more support. So we're creating in yoga what we call a camel pose or strasana. And if you want to find the final pose and find a hold, there's a couple of options. If you've got the blocks, well, first of all, of course, you can keep your hands here, finding the pose and holding here with the support of your hands on your low back. But you could also take the blocks into your hands. If you're going a little bit deeper, inhale. Take a few inhales. I like to exhale, tuck the tail to create more space through the center of the spine. Inhale, keep lifting through the chest. And you can find your blocks. Depending on where you are, there's also an option, but feel supported. Make sure you're still breathing to the front body to roll your toes under, come to your heels. We're going to land somewhere where you can comfortably continue to breathe to the front body. If your head feels like it doesn't want to be back, then slightly tuck the chin. From the navel center all the way through the heart. Let your heart come forward. Spread your collarbones. You use your legs for support by hugging your inner thighs. One more round of breath through the whole front body. Feel how fluid and spacious the front is, and at the same time, the strength of the back body. And then we'll come out. You can set your blocks aside. We'll be coming on to the left side this time for our side bend. And just let your knees stack. Feel the ground on your left side. Receive the ground. Accept it for support. And especially notice where your left ribs are touching the ground, your left waist. And see if you can start to breathe into the left lung. Like you're meeting the resistance of the floor with your left lung. As you breathe into the left lung, can you feel how it might just be a slight movement, how it's like the right hip and shoulder are coming towards one another, so you're shortening the right side. Might feel like a little bit of a micro movement, but if you want to feel that more, you can squeeze your right side as you breathe into your left lung and exhale, release. Using the ground. Your lung is breathing into the ground, left lung. One more time. And just even that slight movement of the spine, that slight side bending. Now, okay, a little more movement by breathing into the right lung. So you can place your right hand somewhere on your right ribs. Feel the buoyancy of your right lung. Let it lift up. And if you feel your ribs spreading, follow that sensation of ribs spreading all the way around to the spine. When you're moving your ribs, when your lung is moving your ribs, your spine is moving. And let that right lung float up. You could help it a little bit by lifting the left side body away from the ground. Float right side up. Lift, let's the left side away. Land as you breathe out. So always checking first that the movement is coming from your torso. And if it is, then it might feel nice and sweet to add the reach of the arm and the leg. So I think of there's three parts to the breath, beginning, middle, and end. So the beginning is just about the right lung lifting. The middle, I start to reach with my right arm and right leg. And the end, I'm at the top and I'm fully expanded. And then I exhale. Just let it all go. Breath, beginning, middle, end, top of the inhale, spacious through your right side, short through your left side, and relax. Or there's the option to create the compression on the exhalation, like you're squeezing the breath out. Inhale into your right lung, reach. And as you exhale, draw your right fingers towards the right toes, or think of sliding the hip and the armpit towards one another. Squeezing the breath out of the right lung. So I imagine that my arm and my leg are like growing out of the lung. I think one of the examples I used is I used to live on a lake. So we were always blowing up water toys. And some of my favorites were the turtle, the alligator. And you'd go to fill this turtle or alligator up and you'd fill the torso, like it would fill the center first. And then finally, the air would go into the little legs and the little arms. So fill your torso and then let your turtle, alligator legs and arms reach out. And exhale, release. I think I miss filling up all my water toys every summer. Last round. And then let it go. We're going to roll back onto our back again. Just to pause and feel. You can take any leg position that feels good for you to start. Notice how you're breathing. Again, where your breath is initiating, where it's landing. Has the spontaneous breath, your natural breath changed? And now I'm going to ask you to land your whole back body. Place your feet on the ground with the knees bent. We want to feel the back body. So because we're going to be using the floor to breathe into the back. So now feel the back, the ribs, the shoulder blades, even even though we can't breathe all the way to the low back, we can imagine breathing to the low back, to the sacrum. And see if you can switch your breath into the back body. Just like we had that strap on the back, push the back body into the ground. It's like if you were in sand and that sand were molding to your body. Breathing into your back body. So this again is about initiating the movement from your lungs, particularly the backs of the lungs. But if we want to add a little bit more stretch through the back body, simply feel your tailbone and your shoulder blades. And as you breathe into the back body, lift your shoulder blades, outer shoulder blades, and lift your tailbone. And exhale, release down. So we're creating that rounding through the spine again, just like we did when we were seated. The cat position. Front body's shortening, compressing. Exhale, release to the ground. If it helps you, you could also reach your hands or bring your legs in. I also sometimes add my head into this. You'd want to tuck your chin towards your chest. So inhale into the back body. But if it doesn't feel right on your neck, just leave your head on the ground. Let the breath create the space. One more time. And then we're going to do another one in this forward fold motion. So take your time. We'll come up to a seated position. And when we come into our seated position, you can take any leg position you want. So if you're tight, if your hamstrings or low back is tight, you may choose to just place your feet on the ground with your knees bent. You could extend your legs out long. And if extended, you can have wide legs, legs together. So wide legs is going to give you a stretch in your inner thighs, legs together more in the backs of the hamstrings. It's really up to you, but recognize this is not about doing a leg stretch. It's about creating freedom in the spine. So I might even encourage you to put blocks or something underneath your legs if you're not bending your knees. Feel from your sacrum all the way to the base of the neck and breathe into your back body just like when the floor was there. So as I imagine my back body's on a wall and you're going to push your back body into that wall. So now as you feel the rounding, kind of keep that rounding shape in your back. And as you exhale, empty the breath and fall forward. Inhale, create space in the back. Exhale, just fall with gravity. Your arms are completely relaxed. Inhale, open the back body. Exhale, let the front body fall towards the floor. Take your time, creating that space, little by little, finding what we call a forward fold. There's no need to push yourself. You could even stop here and put your chin or your head in your hands for support. We just want to find a place where we feel space in the back body and take a few breaths now. Visualize your triangular sacral bone and breathe all the way up your spine. So the back of the spine is the mobility, the sukha, the sweetness. And now the front of the spine is in that compression. So we'll let the back body be mobile. Let it float up and down with your breath. And to come out of this, See if we can switch this around and bring your breath back into your front body. Keep your arms relaxed. Breathe into your front and use that buoyancy of the front body. It's like you're filling up that turtle again and it's starting to float up. A little at a time, each breath in floats you up. Can you keep the head relaxed? Take like 5 deep breaths, floating up. Breathe from the navel center through the collarbones. Floating out of the fold on inhale. Exhale, just support yourself wherever you land. Inhale, float up. Exhale, release. And inhale up. Exhale, release. So the only movement we haven't done yet with the breath is a rotational movement. And in the rotational movement, we're going to do it seated. And I'm going to ask you to bring both legs to the left side of your mat or by your left hip. And you can just stack your knees like you're in a skirt position, or take your right heel to your left knee if that's more comfortable, wherever you want to be. And now we're going to focus on the left lung. So we're going to go in that left lung breathing. And feel as you're creating space through the left side. It's like you've got a flashlight in the left rib cage. And breathe into the left side. And let that flashlight look to the right just a little bit. And as you breathe out, come back. Right hand could be at the ground if you want. So think of floating the left ribs to the right, creating rotation in the spine. Exhale, float back. Again, the movement is first from the ribs, from the torso, the spine. And then if that feels okay, you could take your left hand to your shoulder. As you come around, maybe you reach the elbow, you might even lift that left hip off the ground. And as you breathe out, if you want a little more squeeze, breathe out of the left lung, come all the way around, rotate the other way, take your elbow to the back left. Breathe into the left lung, let that carry you around to the right. Breathe out, float back. Let's take one more to the right. Find your landing spot. And instead of holding the hand at the shoulder, you might drop that left hand down. Keep breathing. Now you might even breathe into both lungs. See what's available. Rotation of the spine. And if you like deeper rotations, you could take the left foot and step it over the right. This is another way we do this in yoga. You'll see the left arm come into the left knee, rotating to the right. These are just options. Pushing your knee into your arm. There's resistance there. But notice the rotation, like your spine is like a spiral staircase. And exhale. Release that. Take your legs out in front of you. Just pause for a moment, shake them out. And we'll be rotating the opposite direction. So your legs will go to the right side. And it's whatever feels good for you. So, if you're a yogi and you have certain ways you like to sit, that's fine. My two sides require different seating positions. But you could let your legs just fall that way. You can take your left knee to your left heel to your right knee. Finding a way that your spine is long to start with your ears over your shoulders and your shoulders over your hips. And then left hand can come to the ground. Feel your right lung and breathe into it. And there's already, we discussed a lengthening, so we could go into a side bend. But think of having a flashlight on the fronts of your ribs here. And the flashlight's turning to the left. So for me, it almost becomes this gets a little more technical and a little more saucy, but breathing into the right lung, specifically the front of the right lung. Carrying me around. Feel the rotation of your ribs. And let your head just follow. So we don't need to create the rotation with our arm or with our neck. It's the torso, it's the spine that wants that rotation. And then if you want to add your hand to your shoulder, breathe into your right lung still. So beginning, middle, and end. Beginning, middle, I'll start to reach with my elbow. End is the top of the breath in, feeling that long right side and the rotation through the spine. Exhale. There's a beginning, middle, and end there too, coming all the way around. You may find your right hip wants to lift up. So starting from the torso and letting the pelvis respond, letting the shoulders respond. Finding the full range of rotation to the left in your spine, but by using the breath. Create the ease in finding it with the breath. Last one. Find your way to the left. And hands could come down. You could stay in the position you're in. Lovely. Keep breathing to your right rib, or maybe now both are available to you. If you want to deepen it, then you can step that right leg over the left, or even just here to the front. Right arm into the inner right knee. Push the knee into the arm and the arm into the knee. That will help you to keep rotating. My bad. So we know we're keeping the right range of rotation if we can still breathe fully into the torso. If it's limiting our breath, the pose, the posture, the container, then back out a little bit. Can you still breathe all 360 degrees to your lungs? Last breath. And release that. So if you do practice yoga, I challenge you to use some of these methods to come in and out of your poses. But for now, just to check and see, I'm actually going to come in the same position I started in. Check and see where we went with all this. Come back to your strap. And you can sit on a block or blocks. And let's just see now how it feels. Put that strap back on. And you might focus first on the front body and burst the strap with the front body. And let that be the ignition of your back bend. Subtle and soft, but it's there. You could even sigh out your mouth. Does your pelvis tilt forward? Do your shoulders go back? Can you feel space in the front body? Because you're breathing into the front lungs, and then the rest of the body follows suit. Space in the front of the spine. Last breath to the front. Breathe out. Relax. And then we'll do our back body. So feel the strap in the back. Is that more available to you? Burst the strap with the backs of the ribs. And then you can also imagine your shoulder blades. Breathe up under your shoulder blades with the backs of the lungs. And just see if there's a natural flow of movement in your spine. And generally that would be the front body compressing
and the back body lengthening. And if you want to feel that a little more, depending on how you're seated, you could slide your arms forward. Take your shoulders forward, tilt your pelvis back. But the beginning, middle, and end. The beginning is the breath into the back body, back to the lungs. Last one. And then let's do a final check on our independent suspension of the lungs. So if you want, you can take your right hand to the ground, take your left hand to the left side body, or use that strap. Find your left lung, your lovely little left lung. And notice how your body is naturally taking this lateral bend to the right. So compressing right side, spacious in the left side. And then if you want to add on to it, be a turtle, fill your torso first, left side, and then feel the way your arm starts to fill and reach in the middle. And you're fully expansive. Exhale. Let it all go. And if you're not sure, try it the way that I did it for years, which was I'd inhale wherever I felt like it, didn't even notice that I was inhaling really, and my arm would be pulling my side body. And I could get my arm really far, but my side body wouldn't really move. So let the spine move. And the arm is just a result of that, creating a little more space. One more time. Opening up the left side. Exhale. Let go. Pause for a moment. Feel the strap in your right, or you can just place your hand there on your right ribs. Start to breathe into your beautiful right lung. Notice the natural movement pattern. Side bending to the left. Maybe you want to be an alligator this time, but feel the middle of the body first, your right lung. And then there's so much air that overflow begins to go into your arm in the middle, and you reach through your arm. The arm going up and over is a result of filling the right side, the right lung. Exhale, release. Creating more space in the right side, specifically in the spine, but with more ease, more grace. Last one. I'm going to give you the choice, and I'll make some suggestions to rest on either your front side or your back side. So if it's morning and you want to be a little more energized, you might want to consider being on your front side and breathing into the fronts of the lungs. That's our here and now, and it's more energizing. If you're looking at relaxing more, you could be on your back side, breathe into your back body, release your back body. You could also lay on your side, breathe into front and back. I'm going to choose to go on my front today. But whatever lands on the ground, use the floor for feedback and breathe into that area. Just maybe 5-8 rounds of breath where you're a bit more insightful and purposeful in your breath. But let it go all the way around your torso now, 360 degrees. So whatever you feel the surface on your body, the surface of the earth,
start there, but let it continue all the way around your body, beginning, middle, end. And breathe out, beginning, middle, end. Think of every breath in as hydrating your spine. Every breath out, just releasing the weight of the whole body into the ground. The breath in is the levity, and the breath out is the gravity. And then just letting your breath breathe you for a couple of rounds, finding a space where you feel completely relaxed and supported. And coming into the subtlety of the breath. We feel prana, the life force, entering our body as breath, as respiration. But even in the softness of the almost undetectable physical breath, we can direct the pranic energy anywhere in our body. And all it takes is your awareness. Where your awareness goes, the energy flows. So since this is a class about fluid breath for freedom in the spine, I suggest you let your breath flow up and down your spine. The stira, the steadiness in the front, the sukha, the sweetness and mobility in the back. You could even imagine your breath as a color, a temperature, a sound, freely flowing up and down your spine. Even as the physical breath stills, there's that sense of life force flowing through your spine. And please feel free to turn this off and stay here as long as you'd like, or whatever position you've chosen for yourself. Take your time coming out. If there's any movements you want to make that feel juicy for your spine, you can do that. All the different ways it wiggles, wobbles, and moves. Thank you for being with me to explore how we can create movement and freedom in the spine just with our beautiful breath. Peace, joy, love, and light.